I know for a fact that editing might be frustrating sometimes, and it's even more frustrating when the program randomly crashes or takes a while to render. And if you combine that with prices over the sky right now, you can have a bad time while searching for a good PC that doesn't cost a fortune to edit videos. That's why I created a budget PC build for video editing that has great components to do that, and I will explain what to upgrade or downgrade depending on how much money you have. That way everyone can buy a good PC for editing regardless of your budget. If you don't know how to build a PC or you prefer a pre-built PC, you have a similar pre-build as well with this PC build in the description of the video. Without wasting more of your time, let's start. First, let's break down the specifications. If you don't know about components, don't worry about it. I will explain component by component. Here is where I explain what to upgrade or downgrade to spend less or more money. So I recommend you watching the whole video. For the most important component for editing, which is the CPU, I chose the Ryzen 5 3600. I think this CPU is the best budget option out there. Linus Tech Tips tested this CPU at 8K editing and it handled it without any problems. Although you probably won't edit 8K videos, this shows you how good of an option this CPU is. I wouldn't recommend going any lower than 6 cores and 12 threads, at least for this type of editing. That is why if you want to save some money, you should do it with the other components that I'm about to mention, but not for the CPU. You can't downgrade it if you want a great editing experience. What you can downgrade is the GPU. I chose the GT 1030, and this is mainly because GPUs don't bring performance to editing, they just help the CPU while rendering. That's why I didn't go with a high-end GPU. And by the way, GPU pricing is over the sky. In this case, you can downgrade the GPU a little bit, maybe to a GT 710 and save around $120. But anyway, I don't recommend you doing this because the GT 1030 can handle some casual gaming and helps the rendering a little more. So maybe you want to play some video games. In this case, the GT 710 is really bad, to be honest. But if you can't afford to buy a PC build, then downgrade it. There's no problem, just don't play hard running games at 1080p. And if you have more money, I recommend you upgrading this GPU to a 1050 Ti. That way it renders faster and you can play games like Fortnite, CSGO and GTA 5 at 1080p. In medium to high settings. Now, a really important thing for editing is the RAM. I chose 24 gigs of RAM at 32 MHz. Speeds are really important too, but if you want to do multitasking, I wouldn't go any lower than 16 GB of RAM. I do light editing with 16 GB of RAM, and I can do some multitasking, but with a lower RAM than 16 GB, you can't do any multitasking. That's why I put 24 gigs that you can downgrade to 16 if you feel it's too expensive, but don't go any lower than that. And if you want to upgrade it to 32 gigs of RAM. Don't worry, you don't have to remember all of these. In the description of the video, you will have what to upgrade or downgrade to. Those are the main components for editing. If you want to see the rest, you have them down below. Now, let's talk about the price. The total for this PC build will vary if you downgrade or upgrade a component. That's pretty obvious. But the price for the one that I did cost $755. If you're still finding this PC expensive, don't worry. You can play with the components or check a pre-built PC which is cheaper, that you have as well in the description of this video. And talking about pre-built PCs, there are some good options out there that can help you to edit even at a lower price. That's why I recommend you watching my video about the best budget pre-built PCs of the month. I update them every month. And if you found this video helpful, I encourage you to leave a like. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.
You